Howdy y'all. So today we are going to candle the eggs that we've been incubating. Now you might hear a bunch of annoying chirping and we will talk about that in a little bit, but that is actually a chick that has hatched from our own hens. So I don't know if you remember me candling and getting really excited, candling the eggs from our own personal chickens. One of our hens had been laying on her eggs for a couple of weeks. I decided to steal some from her, make her really angry, and candle them to see if anything was growing inside. And we had a couple of healthy embryos. We only ended up having, we had 2 chicks hatch, 1 didn't make it. So we actually are only left with 1 baby chick, but I'll show you that chick in a little bit after we candle the eggs that we've been incubating. So it'll be really interesting to see what the difference is in doing a hatching project inside of an incubator versus letting your own chickens sit on your eggs. Now, we have to take the environment into consideration because the weather's totally up and down this time of the year. So it'll be really hot one day, the next night it's in the 30s. So we have to take that into consideration when we think about our hens that were laying on their eggs naturally. But without further ado, let's talk about the eggs that we are going to candle today. Let me get some of this out of the way. So, inside of these eggs, hopefully, are healthy embryos. And remember, an embryo is what we call it when it's still growing and developing. It's not actually considered a chick until it's fully formed and developed and hatches out of the egg. So right now, hopefully we have a bunch of healthy embryos. And all of the eggs that we're candling today are kind of dark colors. We don't have any white eggs. So they're all either green or brown. And I will preface this with saying that those darker colored eggshells, they're kind of harder to see through. So y'all might not be able to see so much detail through the video, but we'll do the best we can. So if we have a healthy embryo, what we're gonna look for is a light colored circle at the top. Okay, that's the air pocket. And then below that circle, we wanna see some dark veins. And then below those veins, we're gonna see a dark shadow. And that shadow is where our embryo is growing and developing. So you're not gonna see anything that looks like a chicken. You're not gonna see a chicken head sticking up or anything crazy like that. We're just looking for that dark shadow. So let's take a look at some of these. All right, so I'm ready to candle my eggs. I had to run out and grab a box because I totally forgot to bring one in here with me when I first started filming. And the box is to put our bad eggs in. So we're only gonna leave the good eggs that are still growing and developing like they should. We're gonna leave those in the incubator. The bad ones we're gonna take out of the incubator because at this point they're just rotten, stinky eggs, and I don't want my guest room stinking up, and also I don't want them to contaminate our healthy eggs, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and start taking a look. You might be wondering why I'm not in my closet this time, and that's because I waited till it was a little bit darker outside, and I also put a really thick curtain over my window so I wouldn't have to try to cram myself and an entire incubator inside of a tiny closet. So I'm going to turn the lights off, and I like to use the flashlight on my cell phone to candle the eggs. All right, here we go. It's going to get dark. Alright, so this is round 2 of candling. I filmed the first one and everything went great, and then I realized when I went back and looked at it that y'all can't hardly see anything with my cell phone light that I normally use. So I'm going to use the candler on the incubator. It's a little bit brighter. Y'all still won't be able to see very much detail, but you'll be able to get a good idea of what our good eggs versus our bad eggs look like. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the lights off and turn on our candler. All right. So, again, I'm taking the bad ones out. I'm leaving the good ones in. Okay? So this is an example of a good egg. You can't really see a lot of detail with this candler, which is why I don't really like using it. But as y'all can see, that light doesn't really penetrate through the egg. You don't really see a whole lot, which is what we want because that tells us that there's an embryo growing inside. Well, that's a good one. Now, compare it to this one where you can see the light penetrating through. This is an example of an egg that is not fertilized. Okay, so it's like the eggs you buy at the grocery store. It was never going to have a chicken inside of it. That kind of darker-ish orange spot that you see, that's just the egg yolk. Excuse me. I'm going to go through these kind of quick. That's a good one. Another good one. Not a good egg. Infertile. Nothing growing inside. Infertile. The speckles on this egg, that's just the shell. Has nothing to do with what's going on inside. Good egg. This is not a good egg. This is actually one that had an embryo inside and it stopped developing. And the way we can tell that is because of this big abnormal dark spot. So this embryo stopped growing. This is an infertile egg. Good egg. Good egg. Infertile egg. Good egg. Good egg. Infertile egg. Good egg. Now we're going to move to the middle. Good egg. Good egg. Bad egg. Good egg. And the last one. We have another good egg. Alright, so these are eggs that are healthy that we left inside. So let's see how many we ended up with. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 healthy embryos left over after I candled. Now, that does not mean that we're going to end up with 13 chickens at the end of next week. That means that we have 13 chances to get a chicken. So hopefully some of these embryos will hatch. It would be super awesome if they all did, but probably not every single one is going to hatch. So next week when they start hatching, I'm going to set the iPad up and video the whole process. Well, maybe not 24 hours worth, but a decent amount of time so we can make sure that you all get to see the process of the healthy chicks hatching out of their eggs. All right, so here is our brooder for our one baby chick that hatched out of my hens. There he is, the Lone Ranger. I hate that he's by himself, but he'll have some friends here in about a week. So this is what a brooder looks like. where you should put your chicks after they hatch. So a Rubbermaid tub like this works great. And then you need to make sure you have a heat lamp to keep the baby warm. And then our little water feeder and our little chick starter feeder. You don't ever want to have a water feeder that's super deep. This one's pretty shallow because, to be honest, sometimes they're not the smartest creatures and they might stick their whole head in there and accidentally drown. But this is our little kid. He's doing good. We're trying to make sure that he gets plenty of attention.